Hello, everyone. So I just was in a session with some of you, but not all of you. My name is Troy Young. I'm an Assistant Director of Engagement and New Student Programs here at Arcadia University. Under my supervision is our leadership initiatives and orientation. So welcome to orientation. So we decided to do some live sessions on Wednesdays so that you all could have some actual encounter with some of our campus partners on campus. So today is going to be the Community Civic Engagement Center. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Kiara.
Hi everyone, my name is Kiara. I am the graduate assistant for the Community and Civic Engagement Center, and I have worked with the center for 3 years now. So we're just going to share a little bit of information with you to start. We're going to show you a video, go over some basic things that our office does and how you can get involved, and then we will take any questions that you have. And I'll also introduce Tiana.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiana. I also work for the Community and Civic Engagement Center. I have been an employee there since the second semester of my freshman year, so about 3.5 years now. And it's been a great experience, and I'm excited to get to tell you guys all about it today.
And one more thing before they continue to ask your questions, you go to the website I just entered into the chat and enter the code 361002, and you can ask your questions that way.
Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing a little commercial video with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that okay?
We have partnerships within the community, and there's so many ways to get involved. Education, it's medical, it's things to do with graphic design, it's things to do with, vets, veterinary experience, like so many different things we have so many nonprofits out there.
I actually get clinical hours there. I'm on the pre-med track, and I know like a lot of pre-PA students can get their hours there too.
What happens is we sit down and we talk with you and say, what is it, what's your major? If you have one or you don't and you're thinking about something else, then we try and match you up with something that gives you that opportunity to get practical experience.
Was applying for work study, and she described the center and like their goals and their missions, and that kind of aligned with my focus as a public health major, trying to figure out what I want to do with my career.
It's given me as a student experience that I think is unparalleled to anything that I would have just learned in the classroom.
Thank you to the CCEC for a wonderful opportunity.
You just feel like you're doing something good for the community.
So one of the most unique things about the Community and Civic Engagement Center is that our office is predominantly student-run. And within the Arcadia community, I think it's such an amazing thing that the CCEC has really allowed for that student body representation. Our office is also responsible for a few of the campus and community-based events that are student-run.
We hold annual events like our Martin Luther King Day of Service, which is a huge drive-through event. And as a student coordinator, I've been able to learn new skills, connect with nonprofits, and get to work in a really great team environment.
I myself, as a CCEC worker, have had the privilege of being able to help coordinate such events, such as our Empty Bowl Benefit Dinner, which is a dinner fundraiser that we do to raise money for causes that address hunger and homelessness, or our annual flea market, which is an event that we do to raise money for our alternative spring break trip, which is a service trip that we do during the spring to help with disaster relief in various areas of the country or even internationally.
So not only do we have annual events, we also have new programs or new events that are emerging every single year, even every single semester. These new events come from student ideas and student passions. When you get to work with the CCEC, whether it be through work study or in our office coordinating events or simply just taking a fundraising idea and running with it, you gain so many skills.
Make those connections, understand what type of skills are needed to be a professional.
You see a project out from start to finish. You learn how to connect with people. You learn how to be a leader. You learn how to work on a team.
These are all going to be skills that are really going to help you grow as an Arcadia student. They're going to help you grow as an amazing human being who's going to graduate from this institution and go out to make waves in whatever field you choose.
So that was just a little bit of a promo for what our office does. I think it gives a good idea of kind of all the things, different things that we do, but we'll go over again really quick a little bit more detail about the opportunities that you can have by getting engaged with us. So first of all, the biggest thing that we have an opportunity to work with is with work study. So our work study is something that you apply to if you qualify for federal work study aid, which you would find in your financial aid package that you received. And if you don't know if you have it or not, if you can't figure it out, you can reach out to your financial aid counselor or to the one-stop shop. And so if you do qualify for work study, you can get paid. If you don't qualify for work study, you can still work with us. You just are going to be working on a volunteer basis. But nonetheless, these opportunities are great and still something that are really helpful to propel what you're doing in the future, prepare you for graduation, give you an idea of what you're going to be doing in your field. So essentially what happens when you apply for work study is you sign up, we send you out a form, you fill out the form based off of your interests, give us a little bit of information about you, your major, and then we have a meeting with you. So we'll have like a Zoom meeting with you and talk about what kind of things you're interested in, what you're kind of looking to do, or if the answer is that you have no idea what you want to do, we can help you figure that out and figure out what would be a good experience to kind of maybe help you start thinking about what a possible major would be or something like that. So then after we meet with you, we find a placement for you. This is dependent. This coming year, they can be online. They could be in person for certain places. And we just have lots of opportunities. We have a long list. You saw some of them that were listed in the video. So for me personally, I started working at the CCEC as an office assistant. Just working in the office itself and kind of doing things, talking to students, coordinating events. But at the same time, I started to have a work study position as well. So these work study positions can give you a really good idea of what your major has as options to do. So I was an international studies major, and I had a work study job with an organization called Sueños that is located in Guatemala, but they also have a branch that's in Philadelphia. So I kind of did research for them. I helped them with fundraising. So I ran a fundraising event for them. And it actually ended up allowing me to go to Guatemala last summer to do a research project with them about impact development, which was really useful for me getting an idea of the nonprofit world and things that were possible to do with my major after graduating, and also gave me a really amazing way to have this great resume building experience as well as networking. I've already had my boss there write me a couple of recommendation letters. So these are the kinds of experiences that you can get, and they come from your interests and your major. So even if you don't want to necessarily do something with your major, there's people that'll be like maybe in business, but they're super interested in animal welfare. So then we'll put them at this place called Forgotten Cats or the Animal Wildlife Center. And then you can kind of build those connections, and you might not think it's necessarily related, but it might end up becoming related in the future, or just be an enhancing thing for your resume that can set you apart from different people. Something else that I'll note that a lot of people have a question about for work study, a lot of times when you get allocated work study, you automatically get put in a position that's on campus. So sometimes you'll be somewhere like the gym, like signing people in, or just with a different office on campus. So if you do, or like the library is another option. So if you do get allocated to one of those, you still are allowed to apply to work with us. And we can either split the time between your positions if you really want to like keep your position at the library, or we can, you're allowed to switch it. So you could end up going from just kind of like sitting at the front of the library to ending up being at a place that's kind of more relevant to your major. And I'm gonna pass it over to Tiana, who's gonna talk about some events and our office.
Yes, so I'll just like piggyback off of what you were getting into about working for the office. If you decide that you want your work study position to be with us at the CCEC, it's a really rewarding experience. I have learned so much personally from having the opportunity to plan events, which I'm going to get into that kind of stuff, being able to help clubs, because that's another part of what we do is we assist clubs with fulfilling their community service requirements as clubs on campus. Just getting to build those skills like knowing how to construct a really nice email, you know, the little things you don't pay attention to that really help you to grow as you're in college and things you're going to need to be successful out in the world once you graduate and you're trying to get jobs and things. Every little thing really does help. I've learned how to use Excel more. I've learned how I think my communication skills have definitely improved. I used to be really anxious to like talk on the phone to people, but we have to like call around and communicate with our nonprofit organizations that we have partnerships with. It's a really nice experience. It's a very awesome and fun and warm environment. We're all really nice. We'd love to have you guys. And you learn so much. And then now I can get into what it requires, I guess, to plan events and whatnot, like what goes into that. So during my first year, I didn't necessarily help with planning events. I was more of like a spectating and helping out. But once it got into my second year of working with the CCEC, and there's no like, you have to have worked here for a certain time to plan events and stuff. You could jump right into it, absolutely. But my first event that I got to plan was our community flea market, which is something that we do in the fall and in the spring, so twice a year. I'm not sure how that's gonna work this year, so TBD, I guess, but I got to help with planning that, and it's really fun to get to have to like plan a project from start to finish, everything that goes in it, from communicating with like the vendors that want to come and sell, getting to communicate with other offices on campus. So that's like it's a really good opportunity to learn to like find your voice and be able to communicate with other people, especially, you know, the people that are on this campus. Like we had like meetings with public safety and facilities people when we were trying to get everything situated. But I feel like I gained so much because I understood and got to learn about all the ins and outs that go into making something that like an idea on paper turn into like an actual event that people come to. And then with that, we were able to raise a lot of money that went towards our alternative spring break trip, which we'll get into that later as well. I also got to help plan our empty bowl dinner, which is also like an event that we have on campus. Another TBD, unfortunately, because of the current situation. But from that experience, it was extremely insightful to get to learn about just taking something and making it into like something that you see before your eyes. And even if you don't think like the event is what would be the word, like relevant to like what you're studying or something like that, it's more than what it has to do with what you are maybe majoring in, but the skills that you get from it's going to be beneficial across the board no matter what you're studying and stuff. So that's what I found to be extremely helpful to me. And I think that being able to use that as a resume builder also has been really nice, because that is extremely appealing to whatever or wherever you apply to try to get into once you get out of here, or even with an internship, having that like event planning skills and things is really going to be helpful. But I think I covered everything as far as event planning.
Yeah, I'll also say that with these events, so obviously due to the time we are living in the world, some of our events might not be happening, but the nature of our office is to kind of welcome new ideas as well. So if you have any sort of idea that has to do with fundraising or engaging the community, or there's like a cause that you care about in specific and you want to create an event around that, we would be happy to help you, and you could come and work with us and we could make that event happen. And we also do things with clubs. So maybe you and your club want to do something. Clubs have to fulfill a certain service requirement every year. So if you're a part of a club, you'll end up working with us in that capacity as well. The other thing that I'll say is, before you come, if you have the ability to get your clearances, if you go on our nightlife page, there's a list of clearances that you can get. I highly recommend getting them, because then it's going to be easier for us to place you. You can start to apply to us now. If you email ccec@arcadia.edu, which I'll put in the chat, you can, oh, sorry, I didn't send that to everyone. So if you email us, we'll send you the application and also the information about clearances. But like I said, I highly recommend applying for clearances, because then if you, for example, if you are a pre-med student and you want to work in a hospital or somewhere that is medically related, so that way you can get clinical hours counted for you to count towards your pre-med certification, then we will be able to place you more easily if you already have your clearances. Otherwise, you'll have to get your clearances within the process of applying, which sometimes takes longer, and then it'll take you longer to actually get on the ground working. But yeah, so there's a wide range of things that you can apply for. I also would definitely recommend going to our website, which is CCEC, it's arcadia.edu/CCEC. And then I sent our email out. You can email us with any questions. And then we also have a section on the nightlife page that I would recommend looking at if you have any other questions. So unless Tiana has anything else, I think we're ready to take any questions that you guys have.
I wanted to add one thing about the work study thing. So if there is a location that because we have already like established locations that we have like formed partnerships with. If there is an organization that's, I guess, local would be the best, or no, it doesn't have to necessarily be local, but if there's an organization that you find that you want to work with, we can definitely, you can request that we try to like form that partnership, and we like send a contract over and see what we can do about like establishing that as a possible, like another place that you would want to do your work study at.
Right. Yeah. And what's great about that is, so like if you already have a relationship with somewhere you volunteered with in high school and you like still want to work with them, maybe if you're commuting, or maybe if you are just able to work with them doing things online, we can get, if you qualify for federal work study, you can get paid for doing that by continuing it if you ask us to create a partnership with them. Yeah. Questions?
So we don't have any just yet, but just wanted to mention to folks again, to ask a question, you have to go to menti.com and enter the code 361002. It's in the chat to ask your questions. While we're waiting, I did think of a few that I would like to ask you all. So your office is largely about going out into the community and helping folks. So for those incoming first-year students and transfer students that might be on the call that are afraid to go out into the community, what ways can they get involved without having to be around other people?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So while we do have opportunities that are still going to be welcoming people with precautions that have to do with COVID-19, like wearing masks or being at a certain social distance. For example, some of the food pantries are still working, or over the summer, I still worked with food distributions where we were 6 feet apart from each other at all times, and putting things into people's cars instead of like working with them face to face. So like those are options. All of the things that we'll offer you are taking into account safety precautions. We're only renewing contracts with people that are willing to maintain these safety things for our students. But if you're not interested in going out at all, that is completely fine. It's actually a question on the application survey that asks whether or not you would like to do something online or in person. So we have really supplemental online experiences. Some of these experiences were actually already online. So for me, when I worked for Sueños, since most of what they do is located in Guatemala, I would say 90% of my work that I did until I went there over the summer, which was a year after I started working for them, was all online and on the phone. So there's a really large amount of things that you can do that are just online.
Yeah, to that I could definitely add, and that's where that what Kiara was talking about earlier about where your ideas kind of come into play. If there's something like a project that you're passionate about and you want to work on, we could definitely figure out something like ways and activities that you can still offer that, like get that community engagement experience without having to go out in the community. That was like my personal experience when I first started. I did not do like an off-campus work study thing. I actually still haven't, and I'm going to be trying to do it this semester. So that definitely isn't like the case for everyone. You don't have to go off campus and do other things, especially now. That's completely valid. So there's definitely ways that you can still be active in things.
And we did have a question that came in. So the question is basically asking, so is this more about giving back, or is this a paid opportunity?
I would say it's a combination of both. Like, it's definitely focused around giving back because those are the opportunities. We only work with nonprofit organizations, so organizations that are aiming to give back to the community. We just have this kind of like added bonus that if you want to use your work study money to get paid by doing these things, you can. It's definitely more focused about kind of like what we do with the programs and kind of what you get out of it as well in terms of your experience. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, if you're going to take this time out of your day to be working on this, instead of also having you sit at the library for 2 hours, you can get paid for this instead.
There's a question in the chat for you all.
Okay.
It says, for work study, can you start to apply once you are on campus, or is there a website that has places where you can participate in work study? Did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so for this one, you don't have to wait until you get on campus, and Kiara spoke about that earlier. Like the first thing would definitely be getting your clearances. If possible, we used to have it to where you could get your clearances here on campus with public safety, but I don't think we have that set up anymore. So if you could get like your FBI checks and things like that settled before you even get here, that would be perfect, because then you like speed up the process. And then when it comes to the places where you can participate in work study, I believe we have like a few of the locations where you can, or the locations of the places that we have partnerships set up with already on the CCEC's webpage. And we can put that in like the chat bar for you guys to go to. But of course, there's always other places that you can go to as well. And again, like going back to that whole, if there's a place that you would want to have a work study opportunity with, we can work on that, if that's what you meant when you asked the question.
Right. And so you don't have to, don't have to wait to apply, like Tiana said. You can just email us and we'll send you the application, and you don't necessarily apply to specific places. We do have a list of all of the places that we work with. Not all of the places we work with are on that list because there are some that have been added. But essentially, instead of you being like, oh, I want to work at this specific place, we ask you to rank what types of places you're interested in working in. Then we'll review your application and we'll have a Zoom meeting with you. And on that Zoom meeting, we'll kind of talk to you and figure out what the best placement is for you that has to do with your interests, your major, and also with your schedule. So once all of those things kind of line up together, then we will be able to place you. But like Tana said, you can apply at any time. Just email us at ccec@arcadia.edu, and we'll be able to send you the application as well as all of the information about the clearances so you can get started on that.
We do have a couple more questions that came in. Are there also one-day volunteer opportunities or just entire work studies?
Oh, we definitely have one-day opportunities and things. It usually circles around like an event that we'll be like hosting or whatnot. At the moment, we're not sure what events will be held, like hosting and things with the office. So that's like another TBD situation, but absolutely, yeah, there's always volunteer opportunities that we could link you up with that are just for the day, especially if you are trying to get like volunteer hours for clubs. Clubs do that very often too. They just like will need to get the hours and they'll come to us and ask us about like opportunities where they could just fulfill it within a day and things like that. So if you're looking for that, we could definitely assist you and get you placed with something like that.
And if you have anything specific that you want to volunteer for, or if you're just like, oh, like I really would like to volunteer for a day, you can just email us or reach out to us and tell us that. And we have a lot of resources and like places to look that we could find something for you, even if it's something like specific that we can just set you up with.
Do you all give to charity? And if so, what organizations do you give to?
We do. So the biggest one that we do is with our Empty Bowl benefit dinner. Every year, I believe we usually stick with the same two organizations. So we do one international and one local. I believe it's like skipping my mind for a second.
Rising Against Hunger is the international one, and Interfaith Hospitality Network is the local Philadelphia organization that we donate.
Yes. I think there's definitely a few others. A lot of the events that we have, we usually try to incorporate like a nonprofit organization that we can help to raise funding for them. I know with our one flea market we did after the hurricane that had happened, like in the Caribbean, we worked with like a local nonprofit that was working to raise money and buy goods and things to have sent over there. So we definitely always try to incorporate raising money or doing what we can to collect things for nonprofit organizations locally and internationally that are in need.
Yeah, we also were doing for a while like a shoe sale organization that ends up providing housing opportunities for refugees. And there's also with our annual alternative spring break trip, that's what some of the flea market money goes towards. So we'll choose a location to go to and students raise money and it helps us go on the trip to provide aid there, but usually along with the aid that we're providing by skills and in-person assistance, there's also a monetary donation made to the organizations that we work with.
I'm going to answer this question if you don't mind, because it's about like general work study. So is this the only work study category, or are there other opportunities that provide work? So yes, there are many other opportunities that you can do for work study. So work study is filtered through the one-stop shop. That's the same place that you've been submitting your ID photos and stuff like that. So if you go to the arcadia.edu website and go to the one-stop shop, you'll be able to learn more about work study through that way. And that is all the questions that we have. Do either of you have anything else to share before we end?
I don't think so. Just that we hope we see you. Thank you so much for coming. And please reach out. Check out our website, email ccec@arcadia.edu, and we'll be happy to reach out to you, answer any other questions that you end up having, or just getting you started on the application process to get a work study position.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to see you guys. I definitely encourage you guys to like get involved and try to reach out and make those connections earlier, as soon as possible. And I wish you guys the best in your freshman year or your first year in college. And I hope that we can be of assistance to you guys.
Thank you both so much. I just put in the chat the link to Earn Your Armor for this session. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at orientation@arcadia.edu. I always do it backwards. Again, orientation@arcadia.edu. If you need anything from the CCEC, their email is ccec@arcadia.edu. And this video live session will be on their nightlife page as well later on. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.